can give it to you if you want.
Who wants me to have the wireless mic? Who wants me to have this mic?
No mic.
Who's not going to say anything at all?
Mic, please.
Hello? Hello? So, first of all, I just want to echo a couple of things that you said, and I'll probably say the conversation, I know Leslie said, I don't want to say what they made. I've had that feeling too sometimes, but I'll tell you guys some of it tonight, what I've made, and it shouldn't matter. My number one buyer doesn't care at all. He's paid me a lot of money. He still loves me. He doesn't want me to sell to anybody else. And about what Randall said, just to introduce myself first, I'm McFarland. I know some of you. I see a lot of faces here that I know, and some of you I don't know. You want to go first? So, you can do it too. Randall was talking about what he used to do, and Sean says he used to be a police officer. Well, this is what I used to do. I was a dock worker. Has ever heard of USF right away? Anybody seen those trucks? That's what I did. I loaded freight for a living. So I loaded freight for a living, and while I was doing that, I got into real estate. But I wouldn't quit my job because I just had that mentality of, you know what? I'm not going to quit my job. I'm going to keep doing it. So they had to fire me. I was skateboarding on the dock one night and I got fired. So that was the end of that. But actually, when I got fired, I was making more money in real estate than I was as a dock worker. I just refused to quit.
Did they take your pant leg?
No, those are my favorite pants. I call them my spants, my shorts pants. Because that's what I was. I wore them. My sister found this for me. She loved it. I came home every night looking like that. So I had my belt buckle, not a rodeo cowboy either. So
why just one leg?
You know what? It tore in the knee, and I just took it off. So I thought, it was easier, and I thought it looked cool. Management didn't love it, but maybe that's part of the reason they fired me. But anyway, just wasn't skateboarding on the dock. But anyway, then I became a real estate investor. So I've been doing it for about 9 years now. I bought my first house. It was actually REO, illegal, non-conforming triplex. Probably one of the hardest deals I've done to date. I didn't know any better at the time. That was in March of 2003 that I did that one. I've done, I don't know, over 150, 200 deals. I haven't counted them all. Currently, and most of them are with private sellers. I generally work with private sellers. I do stuff with the MLS. I search other things which I'll tell you about, but most of them are with private sellers. And right now I'm doing 6 retail jobs, fix and flips. I'm in the middle of 6 of them right now. But my day job, I guess you would say, where I spend most of my time is because I have a lot of people that help me with that. I spend most of my time wholesaling properties. Right now, well, Matt's not even here. Matt asked me to do this 3 months ago. He's not even here right now. He was on a plane from Kansas City earlier. Yeah, that's what he said. But he asked me, he said, how many deals have you done in the last 30 days, wholesale deals? And I said, I did 5. I lied, I've done 6. There's been 6 of them, actually. So, what is wholesaling? Are you guys all familiar with I can't see. Good night, everyone. We'll see you later.
That's wholesaling.
Anybody here not know what wholesaling is? A lot of people here think you're crazy for wholesaling, so why don't you leave money on the table for any of the investors, right?
Tell us what it is.
Wholesaling is, for new people, it's across any field, but in real estate especially, it's selling at a discount to a non-end user. So you're going to sell a property at a discount to somebody that's not going to live in it. They're going to flip it, reuse it, make some money on it. So selling at a discount to a non-end user, that's what wholesaling is. Who here wants to be a wholesaler? Okay. Well, everybody wants to start at wholesaling, it seems, but yeah, that's great. So I think we'll do the next slide. Okay, so there's 3 key components to wholesaling. They are. These are the 3 things of wholesaling. There's finding the deal, there's finding a buyer, or having your buyer's list, and 3, the mechanics of the deal, how you're putting it together. A lot of people get hung up on number 2 and 3, and we're going to talk about those. But of the ones, you can go to the next slide, that is the least important. The most important thing is finding the deal. That is 80% of it, maybe even more than that, is finding the deal. And a lot of people ask me all the time, how do you find those deals? How do you find that good deal? And the thing is, they think that I'm out there with some, finding these special secret, whatever, finding these deals. There's no secrets to finding these deals. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. So, and here is the key to it, is marketing. Is the key. You got to market. I spend a lot of time and a lot of money doing what I do. They don't just come to me. If you're expecting to spend 6 months looking for a deal and just waiting around looking for one, get out there and do something. We'll talk about different things you can do. And here's what you're looking for. When you're marketing, you're looking for 2 things. You're looking for motivation, and you're looking for equity. If somebody comes to you in a house seller and they say, hey, I've got this house, I own it free and clear, I want to sell it to you. And you ask them why they want to sell. I say, oh, well, I just want to get a good price. What happens if you don't sell it the next month? Oh, well, I'll probably wait for later. Well, why do you need to sell it? Well, I just figured I'd sell it if I could. Well, any reason you need to sell this year? No, not really. What do you want for it? They tell you it's a retail price. They got all the equity in the world. You can buy that house. They have no motivation. you're wasting your time. Get out of there. Or if they got all the motivation in the world, they got all the great reasons for selling, but they've got zero equity, you're wasting your time there too. You might make a deal, but you're not going to make any money, so you're wasting your time. Motivation and equity is the key. And for me, I want to have a lot of lines in the water. So I made this little, I went on a fishing trip a couple of years ago with my good friends, Matt Ovey. You here know him besides Randall? We used to be exclusive partners. We went to Alaska. Got Matt Ovey over there. So this is me and Matt right here. My analogy, a lot of lines in the water is when you're marketing for deals, you don't just do it one way. You do it a lot of ways. And I've heard it said before, and I'm not sure who the quote was, but Aaron Nasrillo said it a couple of months ago, and it stuck in my mind. I can't tell you one way to find 100 deals, but I can tell you 100 ways to find one deal. The trick is you just keep doing those different ways to find a deal. So you get a lot of lines in the water. So my Alaska story is, we were out there as a catching can, if anybody's ever been there. And you go out and you go in these little boats. So Matt and I would go out in our little boats every day. And you're just trolling. You got your lines out there in the water. So Matt and I had the bright idea. We thought, well, if one pole, if we both got a pole out the side, we're going to start catching fish, right? Well, what if we had 2 poles or more, each of us? So we have 2 poles off the front and 2 poles off the side. We start trolling through. When you go through a school of fish, you're going to start hooking up. So you got one bouncing, you got the other one bouncing. So Matt and I are both reeling in fish on either side. And you got the other 2 poles that start bouncing. We had to ignore them because we were reeling it in. Actually called a king salmon, one of them we weren't on. So a lot of lines in the water. Here's some of the lines you can have in the water. And this is, by all means, this is not all. Anybody that was here a couple of months ago, Sean gave a good presentation. He has a long list. Ask him for it. He's got a long list of ways you can find deals. Here's just some of them. So I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can read these here. You know, and people ask me, well, which one's your best method? Your best method is, it just depends. Which one did I buy last? What was my best deal I ever found? All of these have produced leads for me. All of them. I've gotten deals from all of these. And it just depends. Keep all these lines in the water. My recommendation, if you don't get overwhelmed with, well, I can't do all of those things, Andy. You don't have to do all of them. Just do a couple of them. But do one really well and do it consistently. And when you start getting deals from that one, don't stop doing it. Just keep doing that one and then add something else too. And I hear a lot of people say, it's tough when you're a newer investor. You get out there and you try to find a deal and you haven't found one in 6 months and all of a sudden you find this deal. You do it. Well, most people, when they're out looking for a deal and they find a deal, what do? They quit. They rehab it, they get in the middle of that because it's really busy work doing that, right? They fix it and sell it, and they find themselves after they got that big paycheck, and you got their 20 or whatever grand, they're like, now what? Well, you stop finding deals. You got to keep doing these things, keep that funnel full, you'll always have deals coming to you.
What do you mean by driving for money?
Driving for dollars. Anybody else want to know what that is? You heard this? If you read all real estate stuff, you read all these books and everything is true in it. People are just kind of reinventing the real estate wheel. There's lots of ways to find deals. Driving for dollars is the easiest barrier to entry of all of them. It doesn't cost you any money except for the gas in your car. Take an area where you think you want to buy real estate in and just start driving around it. I have my assistant drive. He's got a GPS, so it shows him which streets he's been on. I have him drive the streets, every street up and down, so he's driven across everything. You're looking for those houses that you probably would have motivated sellers. You're looking for those signs in the wintertime. It's snow all over the driveway. You're looking for the house with just the beat up roof or like the stuff all over the yard, the tenant that's not taking care of it, the overgrown grass, red tags on things or code enforcement violations, stuff like that. When you see those, write down that address and then go search at the county recorder's office. You can see who owns that. You can also kind of see if there's any equity there too. So you can pick and choose who you want to market to. That's driving for dollars though. If you see for rent signs, if you see somebody out there that's having a yard sale, you might want to get proactive and just go ask them, hey, what's going on here, guys? We're just clearing out some stuff. Or, my wife just left me and I got to get some money. I'm moving to California. That might be a guy, if he's got some equity, you want to talk to him about that house. So it's just being observant, drive around. And again, it doesn't cost any money other than your time and just the gas in your car. And you can probably sell that list too. If you spent the time, I pay my assistant to do that, so I'm not selling the list. But it's costing me money to get that list. And also, if you put up bandit signs and things like that, that might be a good time to put up bandit signs in your farm area if you do that. One of the keys to all this too is, and this is something, when I was asking me to speak, he said, just give a couple key things with wholesaling, that would be good to people. This is something that almost nobody does. It's follow-up. It is one of the keys to things. It is follow-up, follow-up, follow-up. On my desk, I've got written right in front of me that I see it every day. It says consistent marketing, follow-up, 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 follow-up. I'm not kidding. Ask Luke, it's sitting right there. It's absolutely important because just because someone said no today doesn't mean it's going to be no tomorrow. I had somebody earlier this year that I met in December, and then he called me back in March. And I made him the offer and everything. And I consistently kept giving him stuff, and I kept calling to follow up. He finally called back and he said, you know what? I was annoying to this guy almost. I'll keep following up until they say, I'm never going to sell the house, leave me alone. And then I'll still keep following up with them until they've sold the house to somebody else. This guy said, you just followed up so much, and I knew you were going to take care of it, and all the other people were more lax around it. I followed up, I got the deal. Joe and Golda. So to keep that in mind, time and circumstances changes everything for people. Just because somebody says, I don't want to sell today, well, how many of you have a rental property here? Okay, when you've got that 1-year lease signed, and it's a beautiful tenant, and it's 2 months into that, they're paying on time, everything's clean, and that check's just rolling in, you're counting that cash flow, right? You got your PITI payment, you got that thing coming in, and you're just taking straight cash flow from that thing. Do you want to sell that rental property? No. I'm a long-term hold guy too. I've got 15 buildings of single-family homes and duplexes and a fourplex. I don't want to sell them either. When somebody's moved out, that Section 8 tenant moves out on you, they've trashed it, you can't chase them for any money, it's vacant now, you got to pull this money into it. That's the time, even me, I'm in this business. I think about, God, I might want to sell this thing. Time and circumstances, when you hit them. It's when you hit them. And it's even more so for people who aren't in this business like us. Another important thing here is I work with mostly private sellers. So right now, for real estate, I don't really read a lot of real estate stuff anymore. I mean, I've read stuff in the past. I kind of get it. I kind of know how to put deals together. What I read right now is stuff on negotiating. I read a lot on marketing. And I read a lot on sales. I also do motivation stuff too, like building on goal setting and things like that. But in negotiation, the biggest thing to learn is it's not what you want. It's not about you. If any of you guys want to work with private sellers, if you choose to go down that avenue, and you don't have to wholesale to private sellers. I think Leslie does a lot of stuff that's on the MLS. You don't have to do private sellers. I work a lot with private sellers. It's not about you. 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen to what they're saying. What do you want? And the funny thing is everybody thinks, well, you just want the most money, right? Not true. 90% of the time, it's not about money. That's a component to it. That's not all of it. They don't want just the most money. Sometimes you can give them less money and give them more of what they need. You know, like they need to leave someone in the house for 30 days. They want it to be closed tomorrow. You know, there's a lot of things you can do for somebody. I had somebody that worked with me because I told him, hey, after we fix this whole thing up, it was her grandparents' home, a lot of memories there, and she cried at closing. After we fix this home, I'm going to bring you back through here with your cousins or whoever you want to bring through. We'll get pictures, and we'll show you all that. She cried the day of closing, and she cried 2 months ago when we walked her right through the home. She loved it. She gave me a great deal on property. She doesn't know what to make on that, but she's still very happy with what we did. So what do they need? It's not always about the money. Sometimes it's about time. It might be something else. People have freaky off-the-wall stuff all the time. Listen to them. I always ask my people, what is it? Why are you selling? What can I do for you? Well, I think this is important. What else is important to you? What else is important to you? Get through all of that. People like you too when you listen to them like that. If you listen to what their needs are, they're going to like you more, and they'll want to do business with you. We all want to do business with people we like, right? That's it. They're going to like you more for that. So in the end, it's all about marketing and negotiation. And sales too. You gotta, for me, I feel like I'm kind of a reverse salesman. You know, I'm buying their house, but I'm going to be selling them on the fact that they need to sell it to me. Telling them all those benefits that they're going to get from selling to me. So, the next thing, so that was number one. We're talking about finding is absolutely the most important thing. And I feel like I'm kind of kissing this subject, keeping it simple, right? I don't have time to delve into every one of these, but you know, maybe in the future we could. But finding is absolutely the most important. If that's all you get from today, I can't find a deal, then go find a deal. It's all about you. Find the deal. People always get hung up on this, number two. I cannot tell you how often I get phone calls. Anybody else that's got marketing out there too, you get the same phone calls. A seminar comes through town, new investors, they all want to be wholesalers because they don't have any money and they don't have experience. They think that's the easiest way to start. So they say, they call me up for my advertising because that's what they told me to do in the seminar. They said, hey, you're a buyer. What are you looking for? Do you want to be on my buyer's list? They always ask me this, and I tell them the same thing, and I'm probably wasting my breath. I should just hang out right there. But I say, look, when you find a deal that you're stupid not to do yourself or give it your dad or brother, call me and I'll buy it. And I said, you're not going to call me back. And they're like, well, no, I will. What are the areas you're looking at? And I'm like, look, do yourself a favor. I try to steer them in the right direction, but I get the calls. How many of them call me back? You guys guessed it. So do not focus on your buyer's list. I need a buyer's list before I get a property under contract. Not true. I promise you. Go to the next one. Pied Piper, right? When you get a deal, everybody in this room and everybody outside this room wants a piece of that. When I can show you this is a deal, you can buy this property for this, fix it, sell it, make that $23,000 check, everybody wants a piece of that deal, right? Well, I don't have any money. How am I going to do that deal? Heather's got money. A lot of people have money here. If somebody could come and show you, hey, I got this deal, but I don't have any money for it. How many people think you can find somebody with money to do that deal? Easy. Money is easy. Buyers are easy. Find the deal. So don't focus on a buyer's list if you're trying to be a wholesaler. Don't even worship. Oh, we're with a buyer's list too. How many people are on my buyer's list? Anybody want to venture a guess? I know nobody wants to raise their hand or say anything. How many people?
813.
813? On my big list, I didn't have that many. I know of most of the buyers that are serious buyers in Salt Lake County and other surrounding counties. I know of them all. I know most of their names. I don't call them. I've got 3 or 4 guys that buy the majority of my stuff. And I got one guy that buys like 90% of it. And he was the guy, Leslie was talking about how much he made last year. He paid me almost $100,000 last year, just him alone in finder's fees, and he doesn't care. I was at lunch with him today, and he's just like, you're not going to find any other buyers, right? And he's very, I need the deals, He does not want me to go to shop for anybody else. He paid me $100,000, guys, almost. He paid me $60,000 in one deal. Did he care? No. He didn't care at all. So the mechanics of the deal, that's the other thing people get hung up on. They say, well, I don't have enough education, I don't know how to do this, you got these land trusts, you got these assignment contracts, you got these double closes, I want to do a lease purchase or whatever. There's all these mechanics, all these things you have to go through. I don't understand all the terminology, so you think I got to understand everything before I start doing something, right? Wrong. I got an example for you here. My buddy Luke did your first wholesale deal 30 days ago, right? Remember when he found a phenomenal deal, and I think he found a buyer in this room. I don't know if she's in this room. Found a phenomenal deal. He found a buyer because it was a good deal, which that wasn't hard either. He was like, well, that was easy. And she wanted to buy it from him, and she did. And he had 3 or 4 other people like, hey, you sold that yet? He's like, yeah, sorry, I sold it. So then you're asking me too. You're like, oh, I don't know. How am I going to do this? How did that work out for you? Was it an issue? Escrow officer, did she hold your hand and take care of everything? She said, here's your check. He said, thank you very much. Easy. People will line up to help you with that too. There's people in this room, you can call Randall, and Sean loves to take phone calls from people to help with those things. But anybody will help you with that. And most they'll do it for free too. Anybody will help you with that. So get her done. I just want to have Chuck Norris in the presentation. Doesn't that make it better? You should get a round of applause for Chuck Norris. So you'll find a way. You'll find a way to do that. So let's recap it. What's wholesaling? Finding the deal, buyer's list, and mechanics of the deal. Buyer's list and mechanics of the deal, very less important. Do not focus there. All the new people focus there. Do not. Get your focus off of that. It's finding the deal. And once you find the deal, hey, I'll help you with it. Come here and find me. I'll help you get that deal done, okay? Bonus material. They told me I had about 20 minutes. I think I've used it, but I love this business mainly because, and I've chosen to work with private sellers because I love working with people. And I love the different scenarios that I run into every day because every deal truly is different. But these are some of the things that I've gotten as bonuses with my houses. So this is one. I bought a house, I forget where it was, Oak Grove Avenue, something in Salt Lake. This was in the garage. So I said, you got to leave the bug with it. I still own this thing. My buddy and I have high visions of fixing this up and selling it, but it's really not worth either of our time. But I have it. That's pretty cool. The Wonder Bug. Next thing, I flipped some storage units. And they had their storage unit facility, and they have these pallets. It's a Bountiful. If anybody knows where the Fit is, it's right next to that Bountiful. So I bought that from the seller, and I flipped the storage units. And they had this truck. I kept the truck. Got a plow on the front. So we get in now. We plowed the streets because it was winter time. We plowed the streets, and Bountiful City got mad at us. But apparently, you can't plow the streets unless you're like an authorized vehicle. We had a good time doing it anyway. So we plowed the streets for a month, and then I ended up selling that too. And this one, I just got this deal a week ago. I got a sailboat thrown in with it. I was negotiating with a guy, and there was one of those toss-ins. Read your negotiation books. There's a lot of good stuff. If you can learn to negotiate in anything in life, you will definitely make more money, whether it be in real estate or anything. But I was negotiating with him. We're going back and forth on price. And I threw this in there because it's a toss-in. Ask for things you don't really need, and you can give it away as a concession. So I said, I'm going to give you this price. And then he said, no, you try to meet me in the middle. I said, look. And I offered him $1,000 more. I said, but you got to throw in the sailboat. I'm thinking, this is this guy's sailboat. He's not going to give it to me, right? Wrong. He says, okay, that's fair. So now I'm going to give it my own less than I thought. He gave me a sailboat. I don't even know if it's got sails with it or whatever. It's still sitting in the back of the house. Kind of weird, right? I came home and told my wife, I said, I bought a sailboat today, and you should have seen the look she gave me. So I think that's all I had. So my name's Andy McFarland. I'll take questions if you guys want to. There's my website.
How do you secure your deal? Find a deal, provide credit.
Good question. That's part of those details that I obviously didn't have time to get into. But he asked, how did I secure the deal? Sometimes I don't. I've got a deal right now that I've got an agreement with the seller, and she's not going to go around because she loves me. I don't have it under contract. I don't even have a contract on it. Oh, he won't. He won't. And I do other things too. I do a little bit of private lending. I do things like that. So I've got he's got other vested interests in me, but he will never screw me.
Well,
And I get
because we will today, I don't know.
What's that?
Everybody here is starting out.
Right.
Hasn't been a deal with somebody before.
Right. And you do want to be a little cautious, and you can use a contract for that. Obviously, they won't go around you. Or you can find people that maybe are a little more experienced and say, hey, how would you do this? And really the mechanics of it, like I said, people get hung up and say, I don't want to approach that seller, make an offer, because I don't know how to put together the mechanics of that deal. Don't let it stop you, really. When you find that motivated seller with the equity, you've got a deal there. You can work a deal there if you kind of know how to work it. So don't let that stop you. Any other questions? I covered all that in 20 minutes, no questions. Good.
You said one of your marketing things was to get your sellers to understand why they should buy from you. And what do you tell them? What do they?
Why they should sell
Why
to
they
me?
should sell to you? Yeah.
Interesting. I'll let Luke answer this. I really don't like talking about myself. You guys might think. Luke went with me recently to see a seller, and he saw my whole technique of how I do it. Do you want to tell him how I do it? So it's not just coming from me. Third-party verification.
Yeah, you just make it about them. I think mostly.
Yeah, I go there, I make it about them, but I listen to them, and I'm very interested in people in real life anyway. This is my job. I really go there and I like to listen to them and see what they need. I listen to why they're selling. And sometimes there was a guy in Bountiful that he was selling his property. He came there and he didn't need me. And I told him, I'm honest with you. I said, you don't need me. Here's what you can do. You don't need me. And he thanked me for it. And he wasn't my seller, and that's fine. So I'm honest with people, and I listen to what they need. And if I say you don't need my services, you can do this and this. But there's a lot of people that do need me. And I tell you, all of my sellers, they're all happy with me. A lot of them just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you go to my website, you'll see testimonial letters from these sellers. They all love it. I'm not pulling wool over anybody's eyes. But believe me, I sell the property and I make money. And sometimes I make a lot of money selling it. So it's not about the money for me sometimes. Sometimes I want a quick solution. That's all it is. Any other questions?
Do you write your own contract for security, or do you use one like MLS?
I use I have gone through and used, and you can use other ones. I think Luke used one of his last one. I just use the standard Utah rep sheet. It seems like most people are comfortable with that. I just tell them, look, this is a standard Utah rep sheet. I'll do that. So yeah, I'll use that. And then I'll even use, if I'm going to assign the contract, well, sometimes I'll put the contract in my buyer's name. My buyer and I have such a good relationship, 2 or 3 of them, one in particular. I'll give him the address. Before he even goes and sees it, I'll tell him what it is. I'll say, here's what it's worth. And he'll say, I'll pay you this. I'm like, okay. So I'll sign the contract, and you're going to get him to sign the contract, and also get him to sign it. It's in his company's name. We have that big of a trust. But you can fill out just a standard rep sheet. There's an assignment of contract addendum. I've used that. I'll actually do that. I've done it a couple times this year. I'll flip properties and sign properties in my Roth IRA. You guys remember a couple months ago when Jim was here from American Pension Services? I've got a self-directed IRA. They all sign contracts in that and turn earnest money from my account into assignment fee. So that's a great way to grow your retirement account tax-free. So good question. Yeah.
You remember, as a business is inherently honest. If you want to succeed in business, you can't be dishonest. And if you got a real short life, like Andy, I trust. We've done stuff together. I know him. And you'll find out something. If you've got somebody that's questionable, ask Andy. Ask somebody else. Grab somebody from the club and say, what should I do?
That's a good point. Word gets around. This is a small market once you get going. I hear names, these names you're hearing around here. I hear them from a lot of different sellers. Oh, God, a second. Yeah, if you do somebody wrong in this business, it will come back to bite you. This is a small market. And I do have names in my head. I will never mention the names. But when I come across them, I know. You got a question back there?
Yeah, I was just asking that, how long does it take to actually get started?
To get started?
Yeah.
You can get started right now, really. That's why you're here. Talk to and network with people in here, but you can really, it's all just information, If you found a seller, if you left here saying, hey, Andy was saying, look for somebody with motivation and equity, my next door neighbor's got that, I know the grandma just died, and they don't know what to do with the house. That situation right there can be worth a lot of money. And it's just having the information knowing, hey, I can put this together, maybe I can talk to somebody and wholesale this deal. Even if you don't have the money and you don't think you can take it down, like I said, money comes out of the woodwork, buyers do too. So talk to somebody that knows, grab somebody, call somebody, and they're not going to go around you. If find the right guy, they're not gonna try to go around you. So, yeah, good question.
And what is your opinion of the tactic of putting an offer in on the MLS and kind of tying up the property and then trying to find a buyer? Is that like a tactic you use? Or what do you think about that?
I personally look at the MLS and scan the MLS for deals, but I don't do that a lot. I do find deals on the MLS, but I'm primarily not looking on the MLS for deals. But that tactic works fine if you can find the buyers who can get it closed. I don't like the tactic that people call. I don't like the tactic of tying up the property that you know you're not going to close on, and then holding their hand for 2-3 weeks and saying, "Oh, never mind," and let it go. I don't like that tactic. I think that's kind of unethical too. It's not really fair to the sellers of the property. So if you're going to do it, even if you can't find a buyer close on it, that's all I am. If I make a commitment with somebody, even if I mess up with my numbers, I'll buy it. I'll still close. So yeah, just be ethical about it. Another question? Yep.
How do you find vacant homeowners?
Vacant homeowners. It depends on which county it's in. Salt Lake County, there's a website, a recorder website. It's paid access. You have to pay for that, but you can reverse search people. You can look, just enter the address in, and it'll give you like the tax that it shows who owns that property.
Sure.
And you can even search a little title abstract there too to kind of see when the title transferred and how much they owe on it, probably. Liens, notice of defaults, stuff like that. Salt Lake County Recorder. If you Google Salt Lake County Recorder, you'll come up with that. And Utah County's got one that's easy online too. Davis County doesn't. Title companies have access, but it's very expensive. You can go to the courthouse. You can just call up the Davis County Recorder if you're just trying to do onesie-twosie. Say, hey, here's the address, 123 Easy Street, who owns this? They'll do that for you. You can list the 10, they might not like it. It's just drag. So if you got a house and weeds are growing up, you think who owns this 123 Easy Street? You go to the county recorder, enter in 123 Easy Street, it will show you who the current owner of the property is.
I've got an easier way for that.
Sean's got one.
So you put a for sale sign in the yard with your name on it and your number. Works on the address.
So I've taken 30 minutes. I don't know if that's all right.
Works every time, because if I put a sign in the yard, I say and it's for sale, and then their neighbor goes, they know where he is, and they go, man, somebody's trying to sell your house, and they call me, it's a big idea. I'm like, oh, I was trying to buy it from you, but you wouldn't call me back.
I knock on the doors, I ask the neighbors. If I really want it, I'll ask the neighbor, because they always know. Hey, where's this guy? What's up?
Show up with a Publishers Clearinghouse shirt on. You're like, I'm trying to find this guy.
And everything. Hey, big check. $10 here. $10 for doing that. Okay. I don't know if you have any specific questions for me, but these guys are taking. Any other specific questions for me? I'll be here. I'll be here all night. So, thank you.